And welcome everybody to Tech Talk Friday. It is Happy Friday. Oh, let's say Good Friday to everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're hearing a different voice, yes, the host has changed. This is Nigesh here from Leaderonomics, one of the hosts for Tech Talk Fridays. I hope you are comfortable, whether in your mobile device or viewing it on web. Thank you so much for joining us. So today's show is going to be a compact, we're going to try 45 minutes show. I say we're going to try because it's always a rousing conversation here at Tech Talk, everything about tech and what's happening in the tech world and how you can be a part of it. And speaking of being a part of it, Tech Talk is actually brought to you by Nicole, but Nicole also brings you a few other shows. And one of them is actually the show called Rethinking Balance Sheets, which happens on Friday afternoon. So I actually want to bring one of the hosts, just a quick chat with him, Mr. Ravi from Sage 3, Rethinking Balance Sheet. Hi, Ravi.
Hey, hi, Nigesh.
Hi, Ravi. Maybe let the viewers know what the show is about.
Yeah, I think quickly, I think just as part of any business, tech no different, you need the money. Mm-hmm. So what we wanted to come on board today is just telling people about the funding side. This morning's show, it's Friday. It's every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Have your cup of coffee. This one you can have your cup of beer, so your beer mug with you, but ours is more with coffee on a Friday morning. Bring a cup of coffee, join us. This morning's session was on MDV, and I think on Leaderonomics side as well, how to raise money, non-bank financing, mainly in the Malaysian market. Next week, we got another exciting show. We've got people from Singapore, Average, who actually are the market leaders in intangible assets. And I think that's a great thing. It's great importance to the tech companies, trying to understand the value of the intangibles, because you don't really have land and building as your assets. It's in the IP, etc. I'll tell you, it's well worth listening to Tyler. He's really one of the smartest guys I know. So that's on next week. So every Friday, 10 a.m., we actually talk about how do you raise money. I think we've gone to the bank financing side, which is pretty challenging for the tech guys. We've got hosts coming in, step by step on helping small and medium-sized industries. We know there's pain out there with this with the crisis and the pandemic and the economic crisis that ensued. But what I'm saying is, I know some tech companies obviously doing very, very well, so good for them. But not everybody is doing well, and so what we are committed is to actually help small and medium-sized industries, find solutions to their balance sheet, be it on the asset side if you're going to do an M&A. In fact, today's discussion was interesting. We had a discussion that MDV could actually fund acquisitions. So you're looking to technology onto your balance sheet through an acquisition, then even that's a possibility. We had a discussion on M&A the week before. So all stuff that's also relevant to the tech company. So join us on Friday. Everybody needs finance one way or another.
All right. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for the introduction. So remember, Friday, 10 a.m., it's Rethinking Balance Sheet. If you want to catch what happened today, you can actually head on over to Ravi's LinkedIn, Leaderonomics LinkedIn, and also his equal host's LinkedIn, which is Roshan, who used to be our host here. So you can check out what happened about MDV, actually, today morning. So head on over, check that out. And remember, coffee in the morning, beer right now. Ravi, thanks so much. We'll catch you real soon.
Right. Cheers for that.
All right. Okay, so now it's time for me to introduce, and in this show, there is no discrimination. So there's no such thing as co-host. There is equal host. So equal host means someone who balances out the other person. I am bald. I have very little hair. So let's bring on the guy who is very bountiful with hair and also very knowledgeable in tech, Mr. Karamjit from DNA. Hey, Karam.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, bro. Okay, come for the interesting show. So let's get with it. And because we are serious about trying to keep it to 45 minutes, I spoke to somebody today, and she said she likes the show, but she feels an hour is too long. Totally agree with you. So we're going to try to get that going today. So look, we've got two entrepreneurs, very interesting. And the first one we're going to bring on is Stefan Francis. Background first, Stefan actually used to be a technology journalist with the Star. And he has moved on then to become he runs a successful PR company called Axis Communications. And he's actually still running it. It's a good question to ask him how much of his time he spends on that. But he has actually invested with his co-founders 2 million ringgit, Nigesh, into MyGroser. And when we first interviewed him in December 2019, he said that, most people don't know there are about 24 online grocers in Malaysia, yeah, which to me is way too many, but everybody wants to try. Nothing wrong with that, because every brick and mortar company is being said that, hey, you got to go online, right? So who knows, by now he may say there are 4 dozen. It's from 2 dozen to 4 dozen, fine. So I want to know, how has he, tried to differentiate from the competition, and with the big gorilla Grab in the game now, which I feel is extremely unfair, but life and business is not fair, right?
Yep.
With that, we'll bring in Stephen Grocer. Stephen Grocer plus.
See, he did it.
Stephen Grocer.
You see, he got Karam got Stephen right, but he mutilated other parts. It became Stephen Grocer.
No, I enhanced the other part, not mutilate. Go and change your IC on Monday, bro.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Stephen Francis, co-founder and CEO of MyGroser. Hey, Stephen.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Although now I feel bad. Should I be calling myself equal founder as well then, instead of co-founder? Right?
No,
but having said that,
your co-founders have no ego. With Roshan, you have that massive ego to deal with, so I have to come up with equal hosts. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
so thank you so much for the introduction. And funny story, Karam actually has known me for many years, and he was actually a mentor to many young journalists back in the day. He and a small group of very senior tech journalists today had to put up with us when we were young, full of energy, and not very smart. Now we're just older. The smart part we're still working on. But he used to be very kind in guiding us. And one of the things that he did was he would try and pronounce my name, right? So today he got it right. And Stephen Grocer is in many ways correct, because day and night, I think about apples, oranges, chicken, fish, these sort of things, and very fundamental things, and not just because I like to eat them, but it is what we do day in and day out. To answer your question, actually, Karam, I stepped away from the PR agency some time ago, precisely because the clients and the agency deserve focus. Otherwise, it's not fair. So I'm an advisor at large, and if there's a particular need for my expertise and my experience, then I come in and I help with the client, and they love the fact that they have access to someone who's now doing stuff like this. But we have a very qualified team there, and it's led by some very senior people. We brought them in from other parts of Southeast Asia as well, and they're building that practice out for us. MyGroser takes every waking minute of my existence right now, and that's where we are. 2 million was where we started, back when we started speaking all those years ago. We have invested considerably more since then. And we're actually in the midst of our funding round right now, the first external funding round.
Fantastic, man. I'm so eager and looking forward to that news, and I hope everybody can read it on DNA first.
Well, so I always promised you that when I was ready, I'd come back. So, you know what, pray for us really hard, and maybe that news headline comes out sooner rather than later. So,
and if it's a big enough round, you can give it to Financial Times first, no problem. Yeah, I'm serious.
Good stuff.
Okay,
cool.
So now, when you launch now, because Nigesh says I mangle people's names, which is true, but your co-founder is Michelle Malini or Michelle Madini, and Jeff something. Okay, what, right?
Yeah,
he's getting it upside down.
It's actually Karam's doing quite well today. It's Michelle Malini Mahendra, Jeff Medina, and our CTO is Kevin Francis. So yeah.
Wonderful. So you guys came in, and I think you said that a differentiator, right? Because your biggest challenge before Grab came in was that you wanted to change habits. So yes. We wrote about this in December 2019. So a year plus later, almost a year and 4 months, do you feel that habits have changed? And then after this, we'll ask you about Grab. How has Grab changed the equation in your game? And are you now putting in 25 hours a day?
Well, I'll start with the last question. And you've known me for a long time. Everything we do, we put in 25, 26, 27 hours a day. And that's the only way to do it, because I'm quite blessed in that I actually like what I do for a living, always have. And it's more like every day is fun. And fun is every day. And it's hard work, but it's good work. And it's satisfying work. And so we get to do a lot of really great stuff. And we get to help a lot of families, a lot of businesses, a lot of people get access to affordable, convenient, fresh food, groceries, everyday essentials. And that really is where MyGroser started. So I think that the question of habits is one that will take many, many years to fix, right? But the change has begun. So even from when we actually commercially started in 2019, and that was after we'd been building for about 12 months at that point. We had to build the physical supply lines. We had to build the software that we built. Everything we did was custom, right?
Wow.
And we took everything and rebuilt the ideal of it. And this was after we had literally and personally traveled the world looking at best practices by other players in Europe, in the US, in other parts of Asia. And so we came back and we took those ideas and we combined it into what is effectively a service platform that operates at enterprise level. It's a warehouse inventory, a warehousing system, e-commerce systems on top. It is secure financial systems, and we have partners who help us with that. The delivery is handled in-house. That's something a lot of people don't realize. But MyGroser handles every part of the process in-house, from sourcing, producing, processing, and delivery. We don't outsource it. As in, we don't let someone else run it for us. We have people and we run that.
But that's risky also, because it increases your cost and the margins are so low in your business that it's an incredible risk. But I love it. So do you feel that the risk is paying off, or you say, no, we're going to do quasi now? Because you already know now whether it's working or not, right?
Yes. So when I say we handle it ourselves, we have different platforms within that. So there are assets that we sort of lease own. There are assets that we co-opt. So we took the best experience, and as you hinted earlier, I've been in the consulting line for many years, and I had worked with brands or worked for brands as a consultant who became the leading entertainment, leading e-hailing, leading food delivery brands of their time. I helped build those brands, and it gave me a front seat to what worked and what didn't. So we took those learnings and we put it in here and sort of jumped ahead on that. So we have that cost efficiency, we have the marketing efficiencies, we have the delivery efficiency, because we started with one simple premise. When I deliver ice cream to you, it needs to be ice cream when it arrives. It needs to be frozen. And that's the thing that many, many people still fall down at till today, right? Freshness. That freshness has to be guaranteed, which is why MyGroser, and I say one of, but I actually mean the only one, but one of the only players to actually offer a freshness guarantee on everything you buy from us. If it's not fresh, we will replace it or refund it. That's how sure we are what we do. Right? We've done it since day one. We continue to do it till today. And I have to say that it doesn't cause us nightmares or sleepless nights, because we don't really have many problems with our freshness. Right? Yeah.
So Stephen, I kind of wanna dig into that a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit, because I saw your article, and one of the key things which drives you, even what you said just now about how your business is set up, is that customer service part of it, right? I even read that story about the lady with the lemons thing as well.
Yes.
But most of the time when we talk about customer service and delivering that quality of customer service, it takes a lot of people, because it's that relationship with people, right? So how do you scale? How do you scale the operations when it's people driven?
So the thing is, MyGroser was designed to be a regional player. It was always, from day one, it was designed to be a regional player, and we built ourselves towards that goal. But while the software we use has been built towards that goal, we also built the people part of it, right? And that starts with customer service. So before we started, I was sitting down with the aunties in my circle of family and so on, and asking questions about what would work and what wouldn't. And they kept coming back to one single idea. They're like, look, if I buy fish from you, if I buy chicken from you, if I buy fruit, I normally go to the grocery store myself. I touch it. I know it's fresh. I bring it home. If it's not fresh, it's my fault. And we thought about it, and we said, well, look, that's not really a product problem. That's a belief problem. That's a habit problem. And you can't change what people believe overnight, but you can show them that it can be done. And you can do that one product at a time, one delivery at a time, one customer at a time. And that's where that freshness guarantee came from. Now, I have to say that right in the beginning, that freshness guarantee cost us money, because our processes were not refined enough to actually deliver on it. But we held to the guarantee. And today, we are very, very far away from where I want it to be. The team wants it to be. But we are probably miles ahead than even some offline retailers in terms of the ability to offer freshness, to guarantee that freshness. And it comes back to very simple things. We touch the product less. We use temperature control zones. We have less wastage. Our baked goods are baked to order. Our handmade patties are made for your order. We do a lot of different things, right? And the delivery mechanism that we use is not some random delivery. It's planned, it's processed, it's tracked. We know what's going on. We know how it's packed. And if something breaks, you can actually get in touch with our teams on WhatsApp, on Facebook Messenger. You can call a hotline, and that's available 7 days a week, right? 7 days a week. If you have a problem, you call us. And we've had all kinds of things. The lemon story was fantastic, and I like that one only because I had no part in it, right? Our teams are also empowered. If a customer has a problem, fix the problem.
Fantastic.
Be real about it.
Very good.
Right?
Very good.
Yeah. And we're very blessed. I work with amazing people. I just get to show up on these interviews and take credit for everything, right? But I have an amazing team, and our tech guys build really great stuff. And we're constantly iterating and building and changing and improving. And that's really what we're trying to be. Every day, we want to be a little bit better than we were the day before. And we figure that that's a key competitive advantage. Every day, we want to sort of make sure that it's convenient and more convenient and easier. And that's all we do.
Right. Okay, great. So, I'm glad, I hope everyone who's listening now has a sense of the sophistication and how difficult things are underneath the hood or the click sound, right? When you purchase an order, people think grocery shopping is easy, right? When you make the order, somebody's just packing them into a grocery bag and putting it on the dispatch and sending it to your place. You show how difficult it is, but it's gotten exponentially more difficult. The heat has gone up in the kitchen to probably planet Mars, right? Or whichever is the hottest planet, Mercury, because Grab is in your space. So how have you all reacted to that? And, how is your business different because of that?
So I've been asked this question increasingly recently, especially as I talk to potential investors, right? And everybody seems very spooked at the idea that larger players are entering the market. And I'll take a few minutes to just answer this in a couple of ways. When you look at China and they go, Alibaba's the dominant player there and they own everything in sight. But that's not true, because back in China, Alibaba has to fight every single day against many, many competitors to hold its own. And it doesn't necessarily dominate in every single space. In the US, the myth of Amazon being the end all of everything, patently untrue, because in groceries, it has to fight off a Canadian company, right? Instacart, who's just coming out of nowhere. If you look at China, that's a couple of players. But then you look at India, and India has easily a dozen huge players coming in. And these are billion-dollar operations, all coming in and growing. Now, in Southeast Asia, for many years, people looked at it and went, oh, you can't grow more than one player. From day one, I've always said this, there'll be at least 5 key online grocery players in every market. And if you want a simple explanation, look at the offline world. If the idea of groceries is, one player will dominate everything, then how come the hypermarkets aren't dominating everything? You still have the smaller premium stores. Then you have the convenience stores. Then you have the mom and pop stores. The market is just wide open. And the penetration rate of e-commerce, despite everything we've done, is still in the low double digits. In groceries, it's in single digits. So the larger companies coming in, I say, fantastic. It's about time you finally listen to what I've been saying all along. You're going to come in, you're going to make a lot of promises to a lot of people and educate a lot of people. And this is going to help the ecosystem grow. But what's going to happen is they're going to compete in different spaces. Some of them will go for mass and they just want to get huge numbers of orders. Other people are going to go hyper premium. We kind of sit in the mid to high end of the market. We kind of also have products that go towards the lower end, but our focus is convenience, freshness, and everyday value.
And people
more
are
importantly, we deliver.
A bit for that convenience and for the freshness, especially, right? So you don't have to compete at the low end.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing, right? When we are operating at scale, at our own scale, our pricing is actually similar or lower than some offline stores, even with the delivery. That's actually very important to us. So the price of food is not exactly real in the market. Now, because of my previous job, I got to consult with some very, very large offline retail brands. And that was where we saw this. And the more we saw it, the more upset we got, right? you've heard about one of the origin stories about why we did this, but you also know about the other part, which is we saw that people couldn't afford to get the food they needed. Now we've figured out a way where MyGroser can actually be a humongous business, tremendous, right? And it can make a tremendous amount of money, but we can do it while offering people value prices, affordable delivery, consistent quality, and have a good time while doing it. Why wouldn't we build it?
So, okay, but you are a seasoned, PR professional. So I'm sensing a bit of a PR taiji here, taking us to US, Instacart, Canada, India,
Okay.
Punjab. You mentioned Punjab, and then to China. But honestly, what negative impact has Grab had? They educate the market, but I think if I was Grab, I say, hey, there's Stephen Grocer talking a lot. Let's go and get his top 3 first. They can run things for us, right? Surely you kena that already at least, right? So for those don't Malaysia, kena means you've been hit lah.
So, and I suppose I should be a little insulted actually, but no, nobody bothers what MyGroser is doing. The offline guys are causing more trouble for us actually. So we've been targeted by offline retailers who have gone in and tried to take away our supply lines. They've gone in and they've tried to. So it's fun and games every day, right? And all I can say is, obviously, we're doing something right if billion-dollar corporations are looking at us and thinking that we're a problem. But we're very blessed also in that we have a steady base of customers that are growing with us. We have amazing people who have stayed loyal for the most part. Very few people have actually crossed to a competitor.
Really? Wow.
We're very fortunate. And also the people who are sort of leading the business have been working together for many, many years. My co-founder, Michelle, has worked with me for 16 years. Kevin, well, I've known Kevin all his life since he's my younger brother, right? If he tries to run away, I know where his parents live and I can go complain. So, it's there. Some of the key people who work... Huge advantage. No. I never play fair. We sort of set this up to win, right? But he came in with amazing enterprise experience, amazing consumer experience in building the software. Michelle brings her background in building amazing world-class brands and a background in psychology, right? Exactly. And so we get all this experience, and then we have people who are advising us. We have, as one of our advisors, someone who has over 30 years experience building world-class offline grocery retail operations across Asia. And he sits and he advises us on what to do. We have amazing logistics companies who sit with us, and as a courtesy, they go like, look, this is how you're doing it. This is how you make it better. We've been very blessed by having a lot of people step up and go, hey, we like what you're trying to do. Let us help you make it better. Now what we need is we're just trying to close the investment round. And once we do that, then I think we're going to be able to have a little more fun with helping our competitors come to terms with what we are.
Really? Yeah. Wow, interesting. So I love how Nikesh it's like Stefan is fearless, or he's still in his huge flight and fright mode where he doesn't recognize the fear factor that Grab inspires the people he's talking to even. But I mean, that's what the entrepreneur is, right? They're fearless. Grab is spreading out itself over so many things, and they've got managers running the grocery business. This is driven by a crazy entrepreneur like Stefan. So who do you want to end up betting on? Although on the downside, consumers so far show no preference to any particular online grocery brand. I don't think any brand has come up to the top. So that space is still available. So hopefully, you guys are able to put yourself in the mind of you want to be you said top 5. Hopefully, you're in the top 3, right? And do even better. But I really like what I'm hearing. I think I'm listening to you and I said this guy is a bit crazy. But maybe crazy is what you need to be in this particular niche, right? I
like how you're being so polite and saying crazy instead of stupid. Because, but I will add one thing though, Karam. You forget that. So I had an inside seat at some of these competitors, so I know how they think. I know what they do. So the myth of the invulnerable billion-dollar juggernaut is just that it's a myth. The challenge is when you're trying to grow that big and you've raised that much money and you've made so many promises to your investors. The pressure is more on them to deliver than on us. We just have to become profitable, and we will be profitable before the end of this year. And the moment I am, our investors are going to turn around and go, well, look, that little startup with much less resources is going to do something. Where's my money? I mean, this is my plan, right? And I think that there's space for many players, but all of us have to run our own race. And if I spend too much time thinking about competitors, I'm just going to get paralyzed by fear, or I'm going to try and waste time building things. What we do is we talk to our customers, we talk to our partners, and we talk to our employees. And that's where our energy goes. Once in a while, we look at what the other player is doing, and we go like, hey, that's a great idea. Maybe we want to look at it. But I tend to look at other markets because that's where the ideas are. They've proven the ideas. Nothing I do, well, most of nothing I do is stuff that hasn't been done well elsewhere. So I already know what works and what doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. I appreciate that honesty from you. Nigesh, any closing remarks before we move on?
Yeah, so I wanted to say, Stephen, like you mentioned stupid. I don't think the word stupid is what you kind of read. Like, you know, when you read about Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos and all that. I think the word is crazy, a little bit of obliviousness so that you don't get distracted by competitors, and also a lot of courage. Yeah, a lot of courage. So I kind of see that as well. And I think for our part, with you going for another round of funding, we'd be really interested to see once you get that funding, once everything happens, even with what Karam is saying with the whole competition that is heating up right now all the way to Mercury, we'd like to have you back again. Then we'll see how the story has changed.
So I'm gonna tease something that I know is gonna come out. We're gonna do something here that has never been done in Southeast Asia before in the next 6 months. The technology is being built right now, and it's nothing flashback, but it is utilitarian, everyday thinking, which is going to just be easy for consumers. They're not going to have to think about it, but they're going to go, why hasn't it been done before? It's currently being developed, and we're very excited about it. So because we are a tech company beyond everything else.
Sure.
Of course. Okay. All right. With that, thanks, Stephen. But stick around. We're going to have you back again at the very end. Great conversation. We'll see you in a short bit. So let's move along.
It's not Stephen, it's Stefan.
My God, I made the mistake right now. Stefan, sorry.
I may need to look for another co-host, an equal host.
All right, so Stefan, we'll have you back again at the end. But now, trying to keep to that 45 minutes, let's have the next person. I don't know why Karam put this topic, the corporate startup Bhangra. I have no idea. Let's just venture into this.
Malaysian Asian show. I don't want to use tango. I don't want to use salsa. Okay, I refuse to.
All right, so we have on screen Bikesh Lakhmichand. I got it right. Lakhmichand. Right, founder of 1337 Ventures. Welcome, Bikesh.
Bikesh, just give me 30 seconds first. For those who don't know him, I think very few people don't, but we have a lot of non-tech people listening. Bikesh, in my mind, my eyes, is one of the leading tech entrepreneurs, startup, ecosystem entrepreneurs in Southeast Asia. He has long left the Malaysian ecosystem. He's operating at the Southeast Asian level, doing a lot of things there. He's highly respected and regarded, also known for speaking his mind and telling it as it is. Right? He doesn't stand for any nonsense. So that's great. I know he doesn't waste his time. So it's a real pleasure to have him on the show. And I was saying on LinkedIn, I could do an hour show with him, but we are bringing him on very specifically because he just brought in a Hong Kong enterprise, which is chosen to partner with him to run their accelerator program. And what's interesting is that it's a sustained commitment over 2 years. Normally, Nigesh, corporates come in, they say, let's try one accelerator, 4 months, 5 months. This guy's upfront committed for a 2-year frame, and Bikesh feels that is significant, and we're going to turn the floor over to him now. Sorry, not the floor, the screen.
So Bikesh, go ahead. Maybe tell us what's going on here with FWD.
So FWD is a regional insurance player itself. So they are in many different countries, many different markets. So what they're looking at is basically how can they basically grow? I mean, that's what all corporates are looking at right now in terms of getting into the innovation field. So getting into the corporate innovation game, there's always a different angle. So you could do things on your own. You could basically go shop around. You could take your time. So they had a bit more kind of gung-ho approach of basically saying, let's do a little bit of both. So you'll find that FWD has presence in a few countries in terms of having sort of like a venture building outfit, right? So in Singapore, they've got sort of a innovation kitchen where they're building products on their own. So is Hong Kong. And for Malaysia, they took the interesting route of basically saying they want to co-create. They want to basically work with and co-experiment with startups. So we're helping them kind of talk to all the different markets to figure out now where the gaps are, what they're looking for. be it the unsexy B2B internal processes that could be improved, or it could be very much B2B customers or B2C engagement itself. We're taking all these different problem statements and we're trying to expose them to the Malaysian audience, saying, here is something that you could build. Or if you're already starting to venture in InsurTech, we are looking for such ideas. Or if you're not looking into InsurTech, but you're already an existing startup in FinTech or an existing lifestyle, because these are very adjacent markets to insurance, think about this angle that you may want to put into your existing business models or refine your business models. So we're looking for founders in that space that want to solve certain problems that matter, and we want to give them funding. So it was very interesting when they came to us. We've done a lot of corporate accelerators before, and as Karam said, it's always like, let's just do one, and then we'll do maybe one next year, and then there's no follow through. If you're coming in and you're trying to build an ecosystem, you got to basically have skin in the game, and you got to basically go deep. So it's really nice to basically hear them say that that's what they want to do. They want to build an InsurTech ecosystem, and we had a tremendous plan laid out for them, and they said, let's do this, right? So not just a hackathon here, one batch here, but in between to basically do a lot of engagements. So what they're committing now is for the next 2 years, let's have 4 intakes. So every first half of the year and second half of the year, we'll have a batch. And we want to look at not just InsurTech, but we also want to look at FinTech and things in the adjacent market towards the industries itself. And we dare go down very early stage. So we're talking about pre-seed investments. And for this kind of seriousness, usually it won't cut it with the 20,000, 50,000 that we used to do for typical generic ideas. So we're upping the NJ to about at least 150,000 ringgit. So you get 150,000 ringgit for your idea, and we're going to hold your hands and basically see if there's something here that we could work with FWD and our partners in the region to take this to scale. Right? You're not going to scale immediately, but it's a step-by-step process. So what they're also committing to, if you read the release, was after pre-seed, they want to double down on you. So that means the founders coming in now, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel of, if I do well and I hit KPIs, a seed fund is basically available to you. Also a Series A, pre-Series A availability. So that was kind of a game changer of like, wow, these are kind of partners we want to work with. Really proud to basically bring this program with them to the Malaysian public itself. So that starts in May, the first intake, but we are already actively looking at deals to basically join the program.
Of course, yeah, wow. So when you say it changes the game, I guess, because I've never heard of a company that wants to run accelerator committing that if I like what you're doing, I will further invest in you later also. Because you're right, the path to the entrepreneur is so clear, right? If I do well, I'm building a relationship, trust with them, and if they want to give me money, why not? And this you're talking about a regional player, right? It's not a single country player. So there's a lot of win-win here. And when you say game changer, Bikesh, do you mean that also that Malaysian corporates will start looking and say, hey, who are these guys coming to our backyard? Maybe we need to start getting more serious as well. Do you see that ripple effect happening or multiplier effect? I know that may not be the right word.
Game changer in 2 angles.
Yes, we better do that.
Yeah, like, wow, here's a regional company shopping in Malaysia first. So that's a number one, right? So other regional players are going to say that, why are they doing that? Why aren't we doing that? And come in and have a look at that. And then the other one is, of course, other corporates in adjacent markets are going to say, like, why aren't we doing that? If they dare do that, did we miss something? So maybe they would then take a chance and try something a bit more bold that way. So I think that's what we say is game changer, right? We've been doing this for 8 years. We've seen nobody commit to that long term. Because you can't just come in and do one batch and say, I want to find that unicorn. It takes a while and you got to develop it. In fact, the other game changer is, even if you look at current local funds, I don't think so I've ever seen a double down fund, right? No one invests in an early stage startup and says, oh, we do that, of course, personally. You double down at seed and double down at pre-series A, and let the founders just focus on what they do best, which is build a goddamn product, and saying that at least I'm with you till the end. And people, I mean, who wouldn't want to co-invest with an industry giant from that sector, investing in a product they think is great for their sector? So that's sort of like a very unfair advantage founders will get if you have these kind of people on your cap table. It speaks volumes of your credibility and the technology that you're coming to market with.
And I think the fact that they choose Malaysia also shows that they feel that probably this kind of innovation can happen from out of Malaysia also, and that's beautiful, I think.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
think to
everyone
just
talks about talent, right? We've got great talent here. Although I will never believe that you do it for Malaysia and you can scale 600 million people in Southeast Asia. That's just bogus, right? But every market has their nuances. But for you
Yeah.
to get into Philippines, for you to get to Indonesia, like I have got Southeast Asia companies. For us to expand to Indonesia, holy shit, it took us like 10 years to figure it out, to even set up a company. It is not easy. So these are the markets you want partners. You want someone who has a clue of how things are done down there and give you that inroads into different markets when you're ready, of course. But if you could truly build that software as a service startup that's digital by default, which we hardly see in this part of the world, then yes, you can scale regional immediately. But I don't think so. Most people will do that so fast, right? So focus your market, get that beachhead, do it right, and then slowly scale.
yeah.
So I think Bikesh, Nikesh, go ahead. But now I've got a question for Bikesh. What were you
Yeah,
going to say?
no. As you were talking, Bikesh, I think there's another effect that is happening as well. You kind of mentioned it. Like most of the time when startups look for funding, and we know the mentality sometimes, right? The whole like, I want to build something, I want to make it scalable, I want to make it profitable, and then I sell it off, and then I'm good. And that's that quick game. But I think by what you're mentioning, when they know there's support or there's a double down, they know there's someone who's going to be there in the long term, the mentality changes, and now startups would focus on, I'm going to build a product that is useful, a product that has its own space, and
Sustainable.
own that platform and make it sustainable all the way through. I think what you're doing kind of helps with that mentality as well.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Bikesh,
go ahead.
sorry, you also told me when you're talking off mic that your phone has started ringing off the hook also with other corporates now. So people have already responded, right, in the Malaysian scene, saying, "Hey, tell us more." So that's a good sign for entrepreneurs out there, right?
It is. It is definitely. I think that whole thing that we've been hoping from the beginning, where corporate Malaysia gets a clue and wants to help the startup ecosystem, has kind of now come full circle. And yes, that joke about who's your digital transformation catalyst, was it your CEO, CTO, or COVID? It was. But to drill down, it's more like, existing corporates and businesses, not even just corporates, even SMEs, you're so focused on existing markets, existing products. And typical what people do is always about what we call performance-related moves. So you're improving little here, little there. But there's so much you can do with incremental changes in this particular times. Like, if you are an airline stuck with a tarmac full of planes, whatever efficiencies you do now is not making a freaking difference. So the only thing you can do is these game-changing moves, these big moves. They're called portfolio-related moves. So you're either going to go into some M&A activities, you're going to go build your own stuff, or try and go into a venture fund or build your own fund and co-experiment and co-invest into many different companies. It has to be very much not just adjacent markets. You're talking about transformational changes itself, right? So that need is so real right now. If you want to grow and become a large corporation, the Apples, the Googles, they all do it. It's sort of like a playbook that's already written. But I think corporates here, even SMEs here, not SMEs, mid-tier companies here, are getting a clue that these are the bold moves they need to take, and they've been talking to us right now.
Okay, cool. I think Bikesh, very interesting. There's so many positives out of this, right? So everyone needs to have that. People tend to get there. There's nothing going on in Malaysia. We're behind. There's a lot going on still, right? This is a big play for you if you're in the insurtech, fintech, or even adjacent space like Bikesh talking about. You could add value here and become part of this play. But Bikesh, maybe just a last quick question, and later I want to ask Stefan also. Unrelated to this, what are your thoughts on My Digital as an initiative? Do you think it can move the needle?
And of course, Karan brings this up.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I hope so. I hear lots of comments about the numbers where it's not big enough or it's too small. Well, I don't want my government to do moonshot thinking, right? Where you set a goal and you can't achieve it, but you get 70%, it's great. I don't think so governments work that way. So I think the numbers are fine. It's just more of, can they execute it? The one thing I really like, I think, it's not so much about startups, etc. The initiative of saying everyone must have internet access. Every student should have access so they can learn. Why am I reading about stories of kids falling off bridges and just to get internet access to study? That is so freaking wrong. So those basics, I think that's what the government should do. Anything else about breaking barriers with technologies, dear God, let the government focus on other stuff. What the hell are you private sector people doing? You think what the Microsoft and the Googles needed to wait for a government scheme to get them out there? So just go ahead, focus on what you need to do. If you want to be a goddamn unicorn, go ahead and be a goddamn unicorn. Don't do it because the government wants you to be one. So if you want to do 10, do 10. Don't say it's too big, it's too small. Freaking focus on what you need to do and get shit done. That's all, right? So I like the Jandela initiatives. Who gets it, the money, or I don't care. But the fact that everyone's going to have access to minimum broadband, 1 gig or whatever that is, that is freaking amazing. That means now your 30 million addressable market that we keep talking to startups about is actually more true. People have access to those things. So I like some of those moves. I like that they're saying government needs to be more digital. So you can LHDN. So for all my contracts, I can stamp with a credit card and not bring cash or a banker's check. I don't know who does banker's checks anymore. I like that. And the whole purpose of trying to just have this kind of digital officer, innovation officer role in the agencies, I think that was something interesting.
Government ministry, correct.
Yeah. So Magic was kind of instrument to that, I heard. And I'm proud to say that I get FaceTime in that program. So next week, we're testing this out. So next week, I'm sitting down with, I guess I can say this, with 24 or 25 different ministries with a potential focal point that they've identified, which could possibly become the chief innovation officer of a ministry. That's amazing. The main point is, if they're doing all this anti-IS sandbox stuff, how do you basically get startup solutions now to scale? And I think KJ said it right, and that's something we've always been saying. It's so logical. The biggest customer in this country is the government. If the government can buy a service and use a service, that's how you're going to build your unicorn, for God's sake, right? But do the governments know how to onboard a solution, look at problem statements, shop around for what they want? So whatever we're doing for the corporate sector, we're trying to figure out it should work for the government sector too. So we're sitting down with them and doing some form of innovation talks to show how would we craft an innovation unit in an agency, or rather in a ministry. How would we experiment on different things to basically take an idea as an experiment, be kind of doing sprints and get really experimental, so it's not perfect, but dare launch experiments. And then from there, see if there's stuff that's coming through the sandbox that kind of speaks to your agency's problem statements, and go to market with that. So what was interesting then is people like FWD now, it's being offered, I think I can say this, a sandbox in NTIS. So corporate Malaysia, not just a GLC or government agency, be part of these sandboxes. So you have these various different verticals now. So they've got the drone robotics, they've got agriculture, they've got logistics with Asia. So that's private sector already. So could someone like FWD be that whole insurance fintech thing? So ideas that they're looking at now can be put into more of a national rollout if it makes sense, because they're already invested in ideas. Then the co-investments from government like MTDC now makes sense. And your public money is now co-investing with actually large corporations, and that's money well spent.
Nice,
I think that shift in this whole things of trying to go digital in terms of the Malaysia concept in the next 5-10 years, I think the government's got some clues. They're trying to figure it out. So give them some breathing space. But what I've seen so far in terms of this...
the most critical thing, the ecosystem says give the government some breathing. Hey,
I'm usually
your TN written there, right? You probably got it tattooed on your chest.
So that I was impressed with what NTS was trying to do, because we had some investments that we invested in self-driving car systems and all. And it was so easy now to get that regulation to say test zone in TPM, test zone in cyber. That was nice. It wasn't like hitting a brick wall anymore. So if they could get more of these sandboxes going, if they could get the fintech movement sandboxes, not like quicksand, bring into a real sandbox, that would be really game changer. So I don't know how far we are from that, but those are the stuff I'm really looking forward to.
No, I think I'm excited. This is the first I'm hearing that there's already people are acting on some of the My Digital, targets, which is the CIO thing, right? So wonderful. I was worried that they're waiting for the appointment of the CEO to come for the new special.
I think there's a lot of moving pieces already.
Stefan on also while Bikesh is talking. Okay. So you said there are a lot of moving.
There's a lot of moving pieces already at this thing. It's not surfaced to the public. So slowly that will trickle down. So I'm just excited I got to be part of that CIO thing, whether that could really become the chief innovation officer in a ministry. and how would they now start working with startups. So that's what we're really excited about. So corporate sector does that. Can we really truly digitize SMEs? I think that's something the blueprint is talking about. We tried doing stuff with Google last time in terms of getting them online. Such a painful bunch, the SMEs. That part, I want to see how they implement that. Like, it's not easy doing that. But if you can figure that out, those are the things that's moving the needle in terms of GDPs. I think we really have to see that happen.
Fantastic, great, thanks a lot. I know, talk about moving the needle. Stefan is trying to move the needle in his space. Great. Now we're going to actually come to the end of the show, and Nigesh has got one last thing to go for you all, right, Nigesh?
No, I think because we're trying to keep to the 45-minute show, we're trying to keep it concise for everybody. But maybe, Karam, your question, maybe you want to ask Stefan that question as well. Let's see what his point of view is.
So you want to do the last segment. So Stefan, do you want to take your take on what do you think of My Digital then? And
well, I'd rather not, because I try to avoid talking about governments. But having said that,
no, but there's
a private sector.
Private sector leg to My Digital also.
True, exactly. So I was a journalist when the MSC was still being born, right?
Yeah.
And we used to talk about all these wonderful plans. And over the years, there have been many talks and plans and so much money thrown at these things. I think the ideas are good. I think the talent is amazing. I think the intent has always been there.
Yeah.
What as a startup, as someone who's put money into the ecosystem, as a Malaysian, what I'd like to see is if our government focuses on the stuff they can actually do really well. You know what? Enabling access, fantastic. That's something they do, and that's something they can actually understand and get up and running. Make processes easier. So for instance, when I talk to banks about getting loans as a startup, maybe you take away some of the regulation that's getting in our way. Because the startups, especially in tech, are a very different breed than, say, a factory that's trying to start up. Right? And we need a different set of guidance around it. And mind you, some organizations want to do it, but regulations stop them from doing it. When we talk about getting out there and doing things, there have been tremendous improvements. Don't get me wrong. We have a lot of really great people and a lot of really great agencies doing some amazing stuff. I think we need to do much, much more if we're going to fight cities like Singapore, Jakarta, and Bangkok, who are rushing ahead, where angels fear to tread, right? We need to get a little bolder on that. But ultimately, I think Malaysia is a country full of hope. We always have dreamed these big dreams, and we hope that it works. And that's why our entrepreneurs tend to have this blue sky vision. And some really amazing things have come from there. But we need to get really good at execution. And that's been the thing that we always fall down on. So it's great. I hope that My Digital is implemented well. But I'm going to wait and see.
Okay.
All right.
But of course, both of you are doing your part to make it succeed also. And, we wish you all the best. Nigesh, you want to wrap up?
Yep. So I think thank you so much, Stefan. I'm getting your name right. I'm sorry that I called you Stephen just now.
No, it's okay. But you know what? Since I get to put another word in, everyone download MyGroser and try the app now, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Stefan. Bikesh, any last words?
Focus, get shit done.
Focus and get, I'm sorry, I can't say that word, but get stuff done, people. So thank you, Bikesh. Thank you, Stefan. Yep. And to everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us on Tech Talk Friday. And remember, most of these conversations, when we start them, is actually of articles that has appeared either on Digital News Asia or Leadonomics.com. So please go read. Then you will also know the context of the conversation that is going on right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to wish everybody a good Friday and a great weekend. We'll catch you on the next Tech Talk. And remember, Tech Talk's brought to you by Nicole. Take care, everybody. Happy weekend. We'll see everyone real soon.